a chat with Harry and
Zara.
I know my name is Zara. I just to clear that up, my name is Zara, but for the podcast's sake, it's Pat. Okay, maybe not.
It's not Pat. I'm just gonna. Also, we do not know anyone called Pat. Do you know? Well, I don't. Do you?
Postman.
No. Oh.
Anyway.
Oh.
Also, one of these days, maybe, right, we should make it a thing that next time we record a podcast, we both need to have a cup of tea. Because this is now...
Look, the point is that we don't have tea. I've got water again. Zara's got juice.
Sort of like diluting juice. But you don't call it... That's
squash.
The thing. Squash,
if you're English.
Fun fact, so we'll get on to the important stuff in a minute, right? But if you're from Scotland, everything's called juice. It's diluting juice, fruit juice, like fizzy juice is like what you would call what, pop or fizzy drink, but fizzy juice. Everything's juice. And then when I moved to London,
which it isn't.
Well, it is, because when I moved to London, the tap water's Kunsel juice. People actually call it that.
I mean, when you move to London, I feel like I can agree with that, because I think we've both been blessed with coming from or growing up in places where the water's great, but the London water is just limescale central. And it's not horrible; it's fine. Obviously, you can drink it and everything, but your kettle gets all grimy and horrible, and it's just.
One more thing I'll say about this. Let's start a debate. When you're making a cup of tea, milk first or milk last?
I don't think that's going to start a debate. We're going to get a lot of feedback, and you're going to be like, no.
Well, I'm just saying, if you don't put your milk in first, you're weird. Anyway, right.
That's it. We had a good amount of viewers, followers, listeners, and now they're gone.
Nah, look, I don't judge. You do you. No, do you know what I think, right?
No, it sounded very judgmental.
No, I'm not judging. I actually don't care what you do. And I think like 99% of people do milk last. So I'm in the minority, I'm the weird one, whatever. I just think everyone needs to try it with milk first because it tastes better. And that'll change your life. But people are too judgmental of me.
People are very particular about how tea is made.
I'm like, just chill out. I like my milk first, alright?
I'm a herbal tea person, so I'm going to sit here on the fence and watch everybody argue.
No, I'm just teasing. What does it matter how you make your tea? Am I right?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Some people might not even like tea.
Okay, well that's going a bit too far, that.
So today's podcast, episode 4, is not about tea. It's about advice for new graduates, which is always going to be relevant every single year.
We're recording these in bulk, so we're hoping this will come out like around the right time everyone's graduating. I guess everyone's graduating right now, so a bit late, but...
Well, no, it's always relevant. Like, this is, well, as I said, we're recording these like quite clse together, but we're probably going to release them a bit more sporadically. And this would probably, in my mind, come out maybe end of August, end of summertime.
Well, you'll know if you're listening when it came out.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Hi from the past.
I know.
I think it's going to be relevant. You know, this is something that someone, if people find it useful, can come back to.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
So anyway, let's get into it. Our last one was quite long, and we love a chat. This is why we don't have tea, because it'd be cold by the time we got to drinking it.
That's true.
Which is another thing Zara does anyway. So
I was going to say I slurp my hot drinks, don't I?
You do.
And no one wants to listen to me going.
You've done it now. You don't even got a drink. So basically, this is an advice for new grads episode, along with outing Zara, apparently.
Yeah. Look, no one's perfect.
No one's perfect. That's a very good point. Anyway, let's get into this. We love a sidetrack, but let's get on. So,
Harry.
Okay, yeah, go.
Let's start by saying, what was your biggest challenge as a graduate? What do you feel like your biggest challenge was?
I think the bubble burst.
Yeah, you've said that before, haven't you?
I think training, whatever your training journey, that however many years, months, whatever, that bubble will burst, and you go from a period of having, I don't know, classes 5 days a week, 6 days a week, whatever, 9 to 6, whatever your schedule is, intense training, to now I'm out here in the world. I was doing all these classes, which now if I was to do that, I've got to find what is good for me, I've got to pay for it, all the other bits that we talked about in our last podcast about living in London or wherever you are. That bubble definitely burst, and I think it's sort of coming into a reality of like almost like adult life. I guess it must be similar to, I don't know, I didn't go to university as such.
It is a university. You still got your degree.
I still got a degree, but
like a
from
specialist.
Yeah, it was an intense training course that both of us did. In comparison, I don't know what other university courses are like, but maybe there's a nice transition into everyday life. But that transition from intense training to everyday life is quite significant.
Yeah.
You go from being around familiar environment to all of a sudden anything and everything could happen, or nothing could happen, and it's quite sort of unpredictable. Can be a bit scary, I think.
100%.
People like schedule, structure, and routine, and you just got to create your own, haven't you?
And that's what you found the hardest, was it?
I don't know. I think my nature is to sort of just like, okay, let's take it step by step. I don't remember being like, God, this is really difficult. Although when I moved to London, like at the end of the summer after I graduated, I remember finding it hard to try and get a day-to-day job to pay rent.
Yeah,
that was one thing I remember finding significantly hard. But you get there in the end. Like, you just keep going, and you do something every day, it's going to come around.
It works out, doesn't it?
What about you?
Okay, well.
Oh, you can ask me another question.
I was going to say, how did you overcome that? Do you think?
I think you just got to keep going, keep putting, one foot in front of the other. You're walking, you're like, oh, I need to get home, and it's over this hill. You're just going to keep going, and you get over it, and you come through. I think that's with anything. If you keep going, you'll come through, and whatever the experience and the destination, it'll be worthwhile, even if it feels insignificant. Like I said, it seems insignificant now to think that I struggled to get a job when I first moved to London, because it's like it's in the past, but in the moment it was quite difficult, and I was quite fortunate as well, because over that summer I filmed my first acting job, I think. So it's kind of, I knew I had some money to come in, and I'd have money behind me, but until that, do you know what I mean? So
it's just working it out, but you do work it out. I think that's the thing, is you always will. There's always a way.
Yeah, trust the journey, even if it might be difficult. What about you? What was your biggest challenge?
I think my biggest challenge was just coming out of, because I didn't have the same bubble feeling that you had. I think one thing that my school did very well was preparing us for what it was going to be like when we left. Like, I did feel like I had all the right tools to be down in London and like be a performer in that sense.
Yeah.
But I had zero tools of like life Sarah, who was struggling with all the comparison and the like. I had such low confidence in myself and what I could do when I was graduating, that then when I got to London and I did my first job not long after that, it's funny now thinking about it, because the things I worried about and the things I was thinking about and the things that consumed my brain at that time now were like, I wish I could go back and just shake me and be like, just enjoy yourself, I think it's...
Well, that's like the moment you work for, isn't it? You come
exactly.
out, you want to graduate and get working, and then it happens.
I guess what it was is the pressure. I felt so much pressure to, you see all these, you graduate and you see, oh well, they've not got a job in the first 6 months, so you think everyone's going to be judging what you're doing, and you've got like people back home that are thinking, like, I say this in the nicest way possible, but you've got like muggles, as I call them, who are like non-performers, who...
Zara likes Harry Potter.
I do like Harry Potter.
I've just outed you again.
I'm not like a massive... Anyway, not relevant. Muggles who are like... who maybe don't understand why you've not got a job right away. Like, they think you're the most amazing person ever, and you're sort of juggling everyone's expectations along with your own that you put on yourself. And yeah, I think it was that. I think it was finding myself at that time, and not just like everything I was told with training. You have to do this, you have to be that, you have to, if you even subconsciously told, like, if you don't have a job within 6 months, you're nothing, which was not obviously like verbally told to us, but like, you know, it's just something that you see happen, and it's like...
I think it's important to recognise it. It made me think when you were talking about it, like the people outside of the creative world sometimes can sort of misunderstand or not fully understand the sort of the lifestyle.
100%.
Like, you know how, like, I think acting courses in particular have that sort of stigma of like you're just sort of messing around, you know, pretending to be a plastic bag in a window or whatever for 3 years.
Yeah, even I don't understand what you're doing in an acting course.
And you get those relatives or family members or whoever it might be who are like, well, why don't you just call up EastEnders and get a job there? And it's like, it doesn't really work like that. But
it comes from the best place, because they think you're amazing. They're like, but you could be doing that. You're amazing.
But I think we both share that sometimes that little, like, it can be, you kind of you force that politeness of like, no, it's not really like that. It's too much to explain. It's not necessarily always worth the explanation.
Yeah.
It's like, you sort of don't want to talk about it.
Again, I think we said this every episode, but there's another podcast in this somewhere. But I will say, one of my pet peeves, one of my least favourite things in the whole world is when you say, oh, I'm a dancer, I'm an actor, I'm a whatever. And someone replies being like, oh, cool, what have you been in that I'll know? Like, well...
Well, let me think. There's an oversaturated industry, limited opportunity, and
it's not their fault. Like, it's not.
No, it's not.
I don't expect them to understand if they're not in it.
When people think of like performers, they think of Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston. Do you know what I mean? They're the big names, and that's because that's showbiz, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
So
anyway, that is what I found hard, was just managing everyone else's expectations on top of my own, and then I think with that came like a decline of my own confidence and my own, and you know, finding myself in there to be like, no, you can do it, biatch.
Is that how you overcame it?
Yeah, I just woke up one morning and said, no, it's still something to work on. It's still, you know.
I think that's a life thing, isn't it? You know, whatever you're doing in life, you're gonna come up against obstacles and your own perhaps self-doubt and circumstances, and just one foot in front of the other, walk over that hill.
Exactly. But I think that's why I feel very passionately now about sort of preparing people before they go into training as well as when they come out, that you have to do what's right for you and not what you are told. Because you're told a way that might work, but there's 100,000,000 whatever ways
absolutely
that you can do it, and it doesn't have to be that one way. And I think you can beat yourself up if you're not doing it the same way everyone else is, and you know, why is it not working out for me, why is it blah blah blah, you know. No, I think you're completely right. You don't need to compare yourself to everyone. Your journey is individual. Exactly.
Yeah I like that.
Okay, so let's move on. The next point we have to talk about, which we just literally did a whole 15 million hour long podcast on it, about should you move to London. So just a little sum up, but let's not repeat ourselves for everything. But Harry, should you move to London?
I think if you feel like you want to, absolutely give it a go. Why not?
but you don't have to. You absolutely can do it without that. And if you want to know any more information on that, honestly, just go listen to the last podcast because we talk about everything.
Yeah, so it's episode 3 is the podcast about moving to London. I think it might be worth mentioning we both know people who have moved to London like we did, and people who have not.
Yeah, definitely.
And
both are successful.
Yeah, it's does not just do what it feels right for you. Again,
that goes into what I was just saying before, is you don't have to follow what everyone else is doing. If you're being told you have to move to London, you don't have to, okay?
No. Okay, let's move on then. So, what's the third thing?
So, do you think it's hard to be a new grad with no professional credits on your CV? I say no professional credits because you probably do, some people do leave training, like I had a few odd things on there, but like I didn't have a West End credit, not that, you know what I mean, or like a cruise credit or something. I hadn't networked, I didn't know anyone, you know.
Significant to the avenue or the direction you're going in. Yeah, I think there's definitely a sort of, maybe stigma's the word, I'm not sure, of that if you want to go down that road you need to get a credit. It's almost like catch-22 of that. How am I supposed to get let me rephrase this sentence. So how am I supposed to get onto the West End in a musical, for example, if I don't have a West End musical credit? So I don't have the credit, so I can't get the job, and I can't get a job because I don't have the credit. It's that circle. I think that is a state of mind. I think that then the reality of it is it comes down to whether you're actually right for those jobs, and whether that is the right fit for you. Because I think we mentioned it in a podcast before, like I'm probably not going to be going up for jobs in the Lion King.
No, obviously not me.
But I might be right for something else, a totally different music or something. You know what I mean? Sunday Afternoon, I got through a few rounds of auditions for that. So like it just depends on what it is. I believe you shouldn't set your sights on this one particular thing being the be all and end all. I think you should be open to all the opportunities that come your way, because and when I say that, I mean in everything, in your day-to-day jobs, you bump into in the street. Like London is big, but it's also small.
Yeah.
And everything could be an opportunity. Someone you meet could, I don't know, so you getting a coffee in Costa or something, and I don't know, you kind of get into the queue at the same time as someone else. You let that person go in front, and then the next couple of days down the line, that person ends up being someone on the panel in front of you. Do you know what I mean? You have that impression that might have stuck with them, might have not. It doesn't matter. The point is, that could be an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think it's more about being open to the things that come, because if you get little jobs, I'm doing quotation marks with my fingers, I don't think any job is a little job.
I agree.
If it's something you want to do, but it all adds up, and like I say, London's big and small, and I think it's the same with the industry. Everybody knows somebody, and if this person, say you do an audition and that you don't get the job, but one of the people on the panel's got another project, and when they're like, in the back of their mind, they think, oh, you know what, that person might be really good for this that I'm going to do, and then, do you know what I mean? It all leads into something else, and that could lead you to where you want to be if you have a place you want to go to or go down. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I personally don't feel that not having professional credits or credits of a certain type is necessarily relevant. I think it's how you apply yourself.
In my opinion, your credits mean diddly squat, really. If you put yourself in a casting director's position, right, you're sat on the panel and you're looking at someone, you look down at their CV and you see that they have been in 6 West End shows, right? Then you look up, they can't hit the notes in the song, they can't turn to the left, which you need them to do in the show, they can't, I don't know, they don't have long brown hair that you need them to have, then they're not going to get the job. It doesn't matter. And then you get a new grad come in who ticks all those boxes. It doesn't mean one's lesser than the other. It just means that they're more right for the role, and that's all it is. That's so much of the industry is. Do you fit in this position? For actors, singers, dancers, like there's so much that goes into it other than just what you've worked on.
We could probably do a podcast on this actually.
Oh, 100%. I've got so much to say about this. But yeah, I think on the list of things of importance, like I think networking's above that. I think obviously your talent is above that. Because at the end of the day, if you're the best person for the role, they're going to hire you 9 times out of 10, you know? Like, if you go in there and give them exactly what you want, exactly what they want, they're going to take you, you know?
Yeah.
I think how you look is, like, massive in the industry, unfortunately. It's one of those things that's a bit unfair, but it is a reality of it. Like, you need to sometimes look a certain way, and that's just how it is.
Roles are written for specific things, aren't they?
Yeah.
Roles are written specifically, so depending on if somebody's been adapted, that might open up an opportunity, but I think generally it's going to be a bit more specific. And
I just want to say in there, I'm not saying that like, or if you look a certain way, like I feel like as a dancer, people would say, oh well, if you were like a certain way or whatever. That I don't believe in any of that. That's, you know, whatever. I'm meaning for like West End shows where they've got characters that you've got to play, like roles at the Lion King, blah blah blah. Anyway. Just had to add that in. But yeah, I think don't waste your energy on worrying about that. It's my personal opinion. Yes.
Personal and professional.
Just how you present yourself and how you are is more important.
Yeah.
Okay, next question is, how important is it to have an agent?
I think it's obviously great to have an agent, and some agents are considered to be really good. And they will. I think if you have a good agent, you'll get good opportunities, and a good agent will take you on if they see something in you. However, I don't think it is a necessity. You can succeed without having an agent. You can have an agent that people may consider isn't one of the top agents. I don't really know what I know. I don't. Do you know what I mean? A top agent or whatever. I feel like it's more of a say.
There's some who like there's agents' names that you see and think, oh, they're a really well-known agent. They've got such and such in a show, and you automatically think, oh, they're better. But I think agents are such a personal thing. Like,
oh, absolutely. I agree.
You could work with the big quote unquote big agent who's got people in all the West End shows, but if you don't like how they work, then it's not going to work for you.
It's a business relationship at the end of the day, and it's a two-way street. I think if you're fortunate enough to have an agent, that's great. Just make sure you're on the same page and you're working with each other, because that is what you're doing. You have the same goals. I don't think you should be with an agent and feel that, oh, they're putting me up for this stuff and I don't want to do it, and feel like you can't tell them. A bit like a teacher. I think sometimes people can feel that their agents are a bit like a teacher or a tutor, and like, well, no, you need to do this and you need to do that.
Yeah.
For me, it should not be like that
Not at all.
It's a collaborative business relationship in which if you're working, they're getting paid and you're getting paid, and that's the baseline of it, isn't it? So,
we could do. We've got 100 podcasts to do, but we could do one about agents, because I think there's a lot in there that needs to be. Maybe we'll get one of our agent friends in on that chat, though. You know. Yeah,
we could. Yeah, absolutely, we could look at that. But
yeah, so you don't think it's super important?
I don't think it's super important. I don't think it, like, you know what I mean. I mentioned, was it if you're on Spotlight, for example, you can still see opportunities. You might not be able to see as much as an agent would, but that does not stop you from doing what you want to do. You know, it might not get you into this top-notch Steven Spielberg film, but never say never.
Yeah.
You know, you just don't know. And I think it's a limiting thought to think that I will not succeed without having an agent, because then if you're thinking like that about having an agent, you could then end up getting an agent and be like, oh no, my agent's no good.
Yeah.
And I think that actually is more of a reflection on your thought process than your actual application and desire to get work.
I think especially because since we're talking about advice for new grads, I don't think it should be your primary focus when you leave.
I think that on that as well, like, I think because it maybe feels such a big thing because of showcases.
Yeah,
and that's the last sort of thing.
It's a comparison thing, like who's coming, who's getting signed. Oh my goodness, like they're better than me because they got signed and I never got offered. Blah blah blah. That they could get signed and not work for 4 years. You know, like it's not the be all and end all. I think there is benefits to having one, but not. It doesn't limit you getting a job because you don't have one, if that makes sense. Completely. I think. I mean, I have worked both with and without an agent. You know.
Well, there you go.
And I think there's pros and cons to both. I think your main focus when you leave should be continuing training in some sense. Well, keeping up your training in some sense. Getting to as many auditions as you can, learning about auditions, not necessarily booking a job, just learning how to be in an audition.
How to audition.
Yeah, that's you've got so much to learn when you graduate. Like, yeah, it is. But I think when you leave, you graduate, you think, oh well, I've got to be this like perfect packaged performer right now. You've still
finished product.
Yeah, you've still got so much to learn, and you will always have so much to learn. And I think if you don't develop that growth mindset, you're never going to get to where you want to be, because you learn from those around you, you learn from the experiences you have.
I think on that as well, I don't know if this is different coming from a perspective of training as an actor as it would be a dancer, but you know, if you were to go into an audition as an actor for whatever role, you're going to offer something that nobody else can offer, and you're going to do it completely differently to the person before and the person after. So like that is, and it's about learning how to do that. It's not going to be the finished product. If they see something, you know, as a casting director sees something and they think, wow, I didn't think that would work, but that's good. I'm going to bring that onto the next round of auditions. But do you know what I mean? It's all about yourself, really.
100%. So like what we're saying, put your focus into being the best you can be, and if putting your best self out there comes with an agent at that time, great. And if it doesn't, also great. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like maybe if you work on like 5 jobs, then maybe there would be another agency that pops up, and do you know what I mean? Like it'll all come. Just trust the process.
Yeah, I think as well a good agent will look after you and push you. They will have a good understanding of you as a person, and they will help you to grow. And then hopefully you'll grow with them.
We need to do another podcast, because there's so much to learn with like that initial agency meeting. Do you know when you go in and you're like,
yes,
like they're interested in representing you, and you go in and you have a chat about see if you're on the same page.
Buzz in your stomach.
Yeah, I definitely remember sitting there being like, yeah, like just
saying for the sake of it,
and not like really thinking about what I wanted to do and what, you know what I mean. And I think we will bring you a podcast soon with an agent friend.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Anyway, so moving on for that one. Is it important to have an agent? No, just do what's right for you. And our last point really is, well, I guess it's a question, Harry. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
As a new graduate, what would that be? I think just to tell myself to trust it. Like I said earlier, I found it hard not to get just an everyday job, which is not necessarily related to advice for a new graduate.
No, but it is, because it's all part of it.
Yeah,
you get swept up into everything.
I think people might consider it as such. But if I was just like, you know what, it's going to be fine. Think it will work out. It will. Whatever's meant to work out will happen. And wherever you're putting your energies, something will come. You know, if you keep applying for stuff every day, you're going to get a job, aren't you? At the end of the day. And I think if you move to wherever you move to and you haven't got an agent, you'll get one if that's what you want. And then you may get a different one. And it popped into my head just at the end of this that the head of my school, I remember him saying towards the end of my 3rd year to a group of us that it must have been around showcase time because everyone's talking about agents and there's all that hustle and bustle about it. And he was saying that agents, they come and go, you know, and they will. It's I guess a bit like friends as well. You'll have friends who you may be really close to from back when you're at primary school and you were 4. You may have friends who you're more close to, you know, who are in your immediate here and now. Or do you know what I mean? Yeah. You have friends and relationships based on where you are in that time in life, and I think that goes for your career as well.
Yeah, I agree.
You'll meet the right people. You'll meet people of significance, importance, and whatever, and just trust it, and trust you. I think I feel like I've probably said this in the last few things, but if you trust who you are and your abilities, stuff will come to you. You know, people will be attracted to that.
You'll manifest it.
Yeah.
Which again, another podcast in there, isn't there?
It's just a promotion for later podcasts down the line.
I know, it's just for us. We need to write these down so we don't forget them. My advice would be to just, well, you've sort of said it all. Focus on yourself. I think try and be a little sponge. I think go out into the world, like graduate, know everything that you've learned while you're in training, and be willing to unlearn all that and learn new stuff if needs be, you know? Like, go into your auditions wanting to do your best, trying to do your best, but looking to learn from it, not looking to be the best.
Open-minded. Very
much open-minded. And I think if you do that, you will learn more than any agent will give you. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you will learn so much more about yourself and how you fit and where you belong and how to be the best you can be in an audition or in a professional environment. More than if, like, I spent so much time worrying about other people, and I would go into an audition thinking, oh well, they're better than me. The casting people don't like me. I'm not going to get this job. I'm not good enough to get this job. I'm worried. Oh well, if I don't get this job, what are my friends going to think? What are my family going to think? You know what I mean? Like, just so much stuff that
you're writing a story
deep down
aren't you?
Don't matter.
Yeah.
They don't. It's if I had gone in there, put my best foot forward, did the best I could do, I would leave thinking, well, I learned something from that, you know? And that's all you can ask for yourself.
It's always something to take away.
Always. Take the pressure off yourself. I think maybe that's it, you know?
Easy to say.
I know. It's hard to do.
I think, but not impossible.
And I think as well, you've got to remember, like, I feel like, I don't know about acting, but I feel like with dancers, there's a bit of a pressure in the sense of you feel like there's a time limit. You feel like, well, I need to be working right away. Like, you can't dance forever. I'm doing quotation marks again, but like, you can't, like, as an actor, I guess you can go out and get a role when you're 80, you know? Whereas as a dancer, you're probably not gonna, like, I don't know. I don't want to say that because what's stopping you? I believe you can do whatever you want, right? But you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
There's like there fields from the industry, like this sort of time pressure, and then suddenly you've been auditioning for however long, and the new grads are coming out, and you're like, you just.
It's an athletic thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your body will change over time, and that's kind of what you're saying, isn't it?
And I feel like it's better to put your energy in the idea of you want longevity, and if it takes you 4, 5, 6, 7 years to get your dream job, there's nothing really in the grand scheme of things, you know? Like, it feels like so long saying it now, but it won't be. Like, it'll be worth it. It's all a part of your story. It's all, imagine this is funny, right? Because this is we took some of these notes from an old blog post I wrote with my best friend. Hi, McCarthy, if you're listening. But she spoke about, and because I did it with her, and she spoke about, imagine writing your book. Like, imagine writing you're at the end of your life and you're writing an autobiography, is that the right word? Of your life. How boring would it be if you didn't come up against anything? How, like, You know what I mean? This is just a chapter of your story, and there needs to be those ups and downs. It can't just be like constant. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, that makes complete sense as well, because if you don't have the ups and downs, how are you ever going to enjoy where you want to go or end up? If everything was so mundane, you wouldn't enjoy everything, and no one would strive for anything, because it'd be like, yeah, that'll do, I'll do that, and you do that for the rest of your life, and then you die. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There'd be no joy, and I think everyone wants joy, and in some way, and gratification of like what an achievement.
Yeah,
You know?
100%.
So yeah,
I feel like McCarthy would have been a good person to have on this podcast.
we'll
because-
get her on.
Yeah, we will. But just thinking about it, obviously, because I did this chat with her before, like, she graduated, got a job in India, no agent, moved to London, got an agent, did, like, other jobs. She's away on a cruise just now, like, she's been in a circus. Like, she's just, I don't know. She's an inspiration, I think.
She's great. We'll get her on.
Anyway, that's all we have for today. As always, any questions, any points you wanna bring up, just drop us a message on either Instagram or Facebook. It's Quartz Academy, or you can email us at info@quartzacademy.co.uk.
I think also though, just to round it up. That's the one. If you want us to do another thing like this, but you have questions that you want to ask,
Oh,
please
that's a good point.
ask us. Ask anyone as well, like not just us. We're just putting some stuff out there. If it, again, I feel like I say this a lot as well.
Yeah.
If it works for you, take it.
And we're very lucky with the sort of circuit we have around us and the people we know from being in London for so long and whatever. So if you're like, oh, I would love to hear from like a casting director or a agent or someone, something like that, let us know and we'll try and hook you up.
Oh yeah,
We can.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
we are here to help.
We sure are. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for listening.
We love you. We're so happy you're here. Thanks for being here.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.